Yeah, you can. Yeah, got it. Should be any second now. We should be live already.
Okay. It says done redirecting to YouTube.
It always says that, but it's always live when you don't think it's live.
I got you. All right. All right, man. So I know this is a little unorthodox because I was used to using the other stuff, but Manolo helped me. Is that how you say your first name?
Yes.
Manolo.
Actually, that's my nickname, but everybody knows me as Manolo. So
Okay, cool, man. Cool. So this episode 7 with Beast Mode Arm Wrestling. And man, really the way I do it, I know everything's formal, but man, I just get on here and hang out and talk and just chat, man. Just be yourself. You don't have to be super professional in anything. As you can see, I'm not. So just hang out, man. And that's about it. But yeah, man, this is episode 7. I got Manolo Sanchez in, and he's just gonna come on here and talk arm wrestling with me tonight. What's up, Manolo?
yeah, yeah. Thank you for the invite. Or actually, I answered your post about coming on the show and talking about arm wrestling.
Yeah.
So we hooked up, and here we are. Glad to be
Yeah.
here. You're a young kid who's doing great things for the sport. You're putting on great events, and your YouTube channel is growing. And I like to help everyone I can uh doing this arm wrestling YouTube thing, and making our sport grow. I like to help everyone. So here I am.
Heck, yeah, man. I appreciate it for sure. And I followed your page for a while. I just never really talked to you. I'm not, we're not completely familiar with each other. You know, so just tell me a little bit about how you got started, when you got started, and some accomplishments, where you're from, just the little
Well,
things.
my name is Manolo Sanchez. That's actually my sports name. Everybody in the sport knows me as Manolo. I'm from Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, an island in the Caribbean, which is a Commonwealth territory of the United States. I've been arm wrestling more than 25 years. I
Oh,
started arm wrestling when I was 16, and I became national champion for the first time in Puerto Rico when I was 19. I broke my arm in my first competition. uh, I've been in and around the sport for over 25 years. I decided to stop arm wrestling competitively so I could dedicate myself to promoting and exposing, not actually promoting, exposing the sport to the people of Puerto Rico, because in Puerto Rico, arm wrestling used to be a big thing. We had a tournament, was called Pulso Medalla, and it was as big as the Yukon Jack in Puerto Rico. We had thousands of entries every year, and the last champion of
thousands,
that, yeah, thousands
dude.
of people that brought up,
That is
that competed.
impressive.
Like we did like Puerto Rico is 100 miles by 35 miles, 100 long and 35 miles wide, right? And we did events in the four corners of the island. And at the end of the year, we did one big event to decide which were the national champions on each weight category. And that event went on from the 70s to the late 90s, you know. And as everything happens, shit happened with money, and people starting to do, you know, sketchy stuff with the money. And the sponsor, which was a beer company, the National Beer Company, pulled the money, and the tournament died out.
Mm.
So I was actually the last champion of that super heavyweight category on that promotion, on the Pulso Medalla. And after that, I was national champion a couple of more times, but it was a smaller thing. It wasn't as big as the Pulseo Medalla. And then I started traveling to the United States to arm wrestle. I actually started this like when I started arm wrestling. Michael Todd, Dave Chafee, and a lot of the guys that are big names now started at the same time.
What year
Like,
did you start?
oh God, I don't know, 1996, 97, something like
That's
that.
crazy. I was born in '95, so that's funny you say that.
So I started way back. Like I'm 42,
Yeah.
I'm the same age as Dave, close to the same age as Dave and stuff. Uh, and I arm wrestled a lot of those guys. I never pulled Dave, but I remember I pulled Travis, I pulled Michael Todd, I pulled Dave Randall. I had
Yeah. Okay.
I he was I was small and he was big, but I got to pull him. You know, never pulled John, never pulled Cleve, but I was around and I saw them participate. And the last time I was in the States competing was, and do you remember that infamous match with Devin Larratt and John Bersank? You seen that
Uh,
video?
I'm sure I have. Yeah.
I was the superstar showdown. I was there. That
Okay.
was the last time I went to compete on the States over there. I don't even know where was it on the States. I remember it was called the Superstar Showdown. Uh, and 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 that was the last time I went and traveled, and then I stopped arm wrestling. Then when I became like started practicing again and found a couple of guys in Puerto Rico that arm wrestled, or started arm wrestling, I tried to come back to the sport, but I wanted to showcase the sport to the people of Puerto Rico that there was still arm wrestling in Puerto Rico. And one thing led to another, and my project Pulseo TV just exploded on the scene, and I spread around Latin America, Europe. I've even got on my show the Russians, Saul Pavsalaev, Rostam Babayev, a lot of those guys. I've had Engin on my show, Devin, John, a lot of Adam Wasinski,
Yeah.
Todd Hutchins, everybody I could get to highlight them and get them to enter the Latin America arm wrestling community. I reached out and they happily accepted, and here I am now. I'm putting up kind of our very own East versus West or King of the Table thing in Latin America. It's called Reyes de America right there.
Okay.
And and
Is that
and,
where you're
and
headed tomorrow?
yeah, that's where I'm headed tomorrow. Uh, and and that's gonna be the first qualifier for the main event.
Okay.
Because we decided not to start with having the event and then doing qualifiers. We decided trying to highlight every strong guy from Latin America and pair up and match up in super matches, and then whoever gets the wins, we're gonna do the big event further down the road and call it Reyes de America, and we're gonna do it here in Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. Right now, we're gonna be in Honduras, a country from Central America, with Guido Quiroz and the Asociación de Lucha de Brazos de Honduras. They have partnered with me and the guys from El Salvador and Nicaragua, and they have put on. They're gonna put on a great event, and I'm talking King of the Table, East versus West kind of a production. They have worked hard, and it's gonna be a great event. It's gonna be live streamed on their page, on their Facebook page, Asociación Lucha de Brazos de Honduras. You can look it up in Facebook, and it's gonna be live streamed too in Pulseo TV, my YouTube channel. You can just
Okay.
go, subscribe, like, and wait for the event this Saturday. It's gonna be at 12:30 Central Time and 2:30 East Standard Time. We got 14 super matches, and they are all very competitive. And we're gonna have the two strongest arm wrestlers in Latin America, which is Luis Maldonado from Colombia and Jose Castillo from Nicaragua. Uh, Pull it out. They're gonna battle each other to see who's the strongest in Latin America. And we have a special treat that is gonna be me making a comeback to the arm wrestling table and the competitive scene. That's gonna be my official comeback match with Eduardo Durietz. He's a national champion from El Salvador. He's even been Pan American champion, and I'm gonna have my hands full with this strong man from El Salvador. So it's going to be a great event, Larry. It's going to be a great event.
What weight are y'all pulling at?
Well, we agreed to be close to the 85, 90 kilo mark.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's solid.
I have lost a lot of weight since last year. Last year I got sick. I was 330 pounds, and I lost like I'm down like 145 pounds.
Holy crap,
And
man.
yeah, and right now, a couple of weeks back, I was weighing 183 pounds, and I decided I had to eat a little more because I was getting it too light coming into this match. But I'm still 187, 190. So that's what I'm aiming for. That category is staying that on that weight and performing on that weight, no matter the outcome, no matter if I get trashed. I'll be there and I'm gonna pull and I'm gonna give it my best, and I'm just gonna be glad to be back on the arm wrestling competitive side of the table.
That's good, dude. I'll definitely check that out. So it's gonna be on your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be in Pulseo TV and the page of the Associación of Honduras. You can look it up in both. It's gonna be easier on YouTube because everybody goes on YouTube and it's easier to find. Maybe it's harder
Yeah.
to find the page. Either way, you can go on all my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and the links are gonna be there. I start my trip tomorrow at 4 p.m. I'll be getting there. I'll be getting to Honduras like at 3 a.m. East Standard Time.
Okay.
So it's gonna be an adventure because I gotta get to El Salvador, then drive 6 hours to Honduras,
Oh
cross the
man.
border, and get to Honduras to pull on Saturday morning. So
Tag, man. So y'all really be putting in the work traveling.
yeah, man. Yeah, I worked really hard with Guido for this event, and I trained as hard as I could to get ready for this event, even on a diet because my doctor didn't let me eat more than 80 grams of protein a day. That's why I lost a lot of weight, and I got as ready as I could, and I did a West Coast tour this past June. I went to California, to Nevada. I went to Alan Fisher's house, to San Diego. I went everywhere and I wrestled everybody. And I learned a lot because I was really weak when I got there. I was still on a very hard diet, even though I was heavier than I am now. But I concentrated on training for the last 4 to 5 weeks. I only train arm wrestling. I would like to thank these young kids from my gym. My municipality has a gym that's been around for like more than 20 years, and I've always been training there when I was a powerlifter and all that. And there's some young kids there that like arm wrestling, and I've started to teach them how to arm wrestle. And if it wasn't for them, Adriel, Hansel, and Owen, I wouldn't be able to have a little table time. And they helped me to get as ready as I could for this super match.
Heck yeah, man. That's good. It's good to get out and train, and especially if you have something close to your place where there's consistent, pulling. Do like how big are y'all's practices?
Well, I don't really have anyone to practice with. I just train. I'm wrestling specific things, and these kids from my gym has been helping me a whole lot.
Okay, I
Uh,
got you.
and I mean, if you're gonna train for a tournament, that's when practice really matters. But when
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
training
yeah,
for a super match, when you do a specific arm wrestling thing on the
yeah.
table and pulls and stuff, some might say it's more beneficial than actual practice.
That makes
So what
sense.
I did is, I just concentrated on all my weaknesses and what I thought I needed to be strong at. And as an American, I'm obligated to be a fan of Todd Hutchins, and I follow him for years. He's my favorite arm wrestler, and I follow his training. And I think I'm the creator of the West Side Hutchins thing. That's what I call that kind of training. The Todd Hutchins training thing, I call it West Side Hutchins because he's from Ohio, and he adapted the West Side barbell conjugate method to arm wrestling training beautifully.
Okay.
And that's what I call it, West Side Hutchins. And I try to train like Todd, and we are the Side Pressure Nation. And I hope we're gonna run wild in Honduras this next weekend.
Heck yeah, man. That dude, you kind of got me excited for that event. Like, if I'm being honest, I'm completely unfamiliar with, you know, like the top pullers in that area, and even the top pullers in your country. Um, like I need to get more, uh, cultured and learning the top arm wrestlers.
We were talking about the other day about who was strongest and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've tried. The guy that have put some order and try to organize arm wrestling in Puerto Rico is me, and I developed sort of a ranking system, but it's based on point. I remember I was talking with Cody Miller about how I should approach that, and he gave me some pointers, and it was good pointers. And I developed a ranking system, but it's based on points. It's based and on participation on events and stuff like that, right?
I like that.
But yeah, and actually that you got to uh uh if you compete, you gain points, you gain recognition, and you go up the rankings. You cannot sit in your house and say, I'm so good, I should be number one. You know what I'm saying? You got to go out and compete.
We're on the same page there, man. 100%. This will be my 10th tournament next weekend that I've competed at myself. And like, I feel like to be the best, which, I'm not the best, but I'm just saying for the top guys, to me, I feel like if we competed more, we might be able to have a better record at East West, or like, I don't know, maybe I'm way off, but I believe in pulling more.
Yeah, what I say is, if you got rankings, usually do not mean that much. I remember Kevin Palco when he got to number one in the United States. A couple of days after, he was on the Billy Collins YouTube live stream, and he was saying, like, at the end of the day, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, nobody's gonna care or nobody's gonna remember about rankings. And he's right at some point. He's right
Yeah.
about some. He's right about that. But this is my vision for rankings. This is what motivates people to compete. You want to be there, go out and compete, earn those points. You'll be on the ranking, right?
Yes.
Now, what you're doing, what we were talking about, that pick the strongest guys from each state, like get a consensus on the arm wrestling community and say this guy is the strongest in this way, this guy is the strongest, and then get him into a tournament, a round robin, to determine who is the strongest and who is 1, 2, 3 and the real strongest. That's a whole nother subject,
Yeah.
And like right now in Puerto Rico, the number one arm wrestler, right hand, we don't have a lot of people to arm wrestle. We got like 50, and we don't, like, there's not a lot of light guys. So our rankings are kind of an overall look at arm wrestling. So the number one guy is Francisco Garcia. We call him Kong. He's got the most points this year. And left hand, the number one guy is Adam. He has a lot of points, but that doesn't mean he's the strongest. He's just number one because he's been competing and participating, and that should be your prize.
Yes.
You're supporting arm wrestling. You're supporting the community by participating. You're voting, and you vote with your dollar. You want arm wrestling to grow? You participate. You compete. You pay for your entries, so the promoters can keep doing the events, right?
Yes.
Now, if you ask me who are the strongest guys in Puerto Rico, I told you, yeah, I can tell you that. I just have to figure out how much they really weigh, because we got like a 220. Let's say like a 242. We got Alejandro Altiler. He's number one. He's the strongest guy at 242. Maybe if we're talking 242 plus, maybe we could have a guy that's called Gabriel Luciano. He's over 250, 250 pounds. Or maybe Jaime Moreno. Okay, Jaime is like 400 pounds. Then we got the 200s. we can say Miguel Rosas is the strongest, the number one 200 pounds, and we can say that in 180 we got let's say maybe Eric Martinez is the strongest 180, because there aren't a lot of guys that weigh 180.
Right.
Obviously, 154, 176, Sadiel Nunez is always obviously the number one guy, So if we put him like that, I will give you a whole different list than the rankings that are official. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And that makes sense. And my vision for it would be more of a, hey, I'm going to designate a team captain, right, for that overseer for that state. You bring me your best guy in each class. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that would be the best, But no, I agree with you as far as rankings goes. Your system is a good system because it, like you say, it rewards pulling, and to me, that's the most value. Like I say it all the time. I would rather have a higher pull count, even if it means taking a couple losses, rather than what am I going to brag about a 5-0 record all year? Like, you pulled 5 matches in a year, man. Like, come on.
This is what I say, and people might get on my case because I say this. Right now, the number one arm wrestling in the world name is Devin Larratt.
Yes.
What? He beat everybody. He has beaten. Okay, he lost against Gennady, but fuck it. He beat Hermes, who beat Gennady, who beat Jerry. He beat him.
Yes.
Now, people say, "Oh no, you can't say that. Levon is the number one guy, dude. If you're injured and you cannot compete, you do not own the spot because you cannot defend it."
Correct.
So right now the number one guy it's Devin until somebody beats him.
So look at it this way. Look at it in the aspect of a UFC type, right? Because if we're talking about the sport and we're wanting to grow it, that's probably our target, more of a UFC style promotion, right? If you look at it in that aspect already, look at what Devin's done, like you just said. Devin's fighting, quote unquote, every other month, which would be unheard of in the UFC. If someone did that in the UFC, they would be the champion, straight up. The champion would be fighting every other month, every few months. Now, in Levon's case, he may be the best, but he's proved it 1.5 times.
Yeah.
In how long? 2 years? It's just
maybe less.
I agree with you 100%.
I mean, and people don't realize this. When Devin beat Prudnik, that was a big thing because Prudnik, he can beat Hermes, he can beat Gennady.
Yeah.
Prudnik is that good, and Devin won 3-0 dominantly. Prudnik couldn't do anything against Devin. So I'm not being a fanboy. I'm just being real. I got footage of a practice pool between Hermes and Kurdecha and Prudnik, and Prudnik was beating both of them.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question.
That's a big thing.
And this is a question that I don't see asked a lot. So this may be way off the wall here. But when you take how much does Levon weigh?
Levon weighs around 400 and between 410 420 pounds.
Okay. So you take a 425 specimen, right? And you actually turn him into an elite arm wrestler. In reality, would he not beat every 300 pounder if they're on the same level? Now, I mean, I'm not saying every time, but we're talking about weight classes here, right?
Yeah.
Weight classes don't stop, because if you take a 154 and you match him against a 150 or a 254, now I know it's a little bit different in percentages there, but that's 100 pounds difference. And if you take an elite 250 guy against an elite 150 guy, the 150 guy will never win. So should there be a bigger weight class? And I don't hear that question asked a lot, but when you get into the 350, 400s, that's another level especially if you're on the same level as the guys you're going against that are 280, 300.
We can start that conversation with the name Cliff Dean. You know, Cliff Dean was 7 feet tall, over 600
Yes.
pounds. He was a big man, you know, and he overpowered everyone because he was so big. He was strong, but he was so big. But now,
Yep.
you ask about Levon. Yeah, Levon's strong, but you know what makes Levon that dominant? When he goes to the side and he gets you to his side of the table, you're fighting his strength in his arm, and he's 420 pounds.
Correct.
So you have to be strong enough to pull 500 pounds over, you know, like we saw on the Hermes match. Whenever Levon tried to came in with his shoulder, he just went like that, and he had to stay down. Levon is that good. He's strong. Yes, he's strong, but it's because he's that heavy, you know?
Correct.
And you are correct. Even in powerlifting, we got the female powerlifting, the heaviest class is the 84 kilo plus. But you got a girl that weighs 225 pounds against a girl that weighs 300 pounds. That's not fair.
I
It's the
agree.
same thing with arm wrestling. You cannot put a 230-pound man against a 400-pound man. It's not fair. You know, the heavier and bigger man will always have the advantage. Now, your point is we should add more classes, and I
I mean,
agree with you.
yeah, I mean, I don't, honestly, it just hit me really. Like, I don't feel like I've seen that conversation be had. And like,
Nobody dares have it, you know, because nobody dares go against the WAF. That's the thing.
right. And I understand that, whatever. But when it comes to, and I guess they're using WAF. So you're right. But like when it comes to big promotions like East West, in my opinion, that has become more desirable than a WAF title.
Yeah, it is. It
Raw.
is. Dude, and we were talking, you mentioned the UFC, right? Do you remember when Brock Lesnar came into the UFC?
Yes.
They made him go down to 265 to be on the
Yes.
super heavyweights. He had to wait at a limit of 265. He could not wait more than that because it would not be fair. I
Yes.
think
They have that class. Like they have a weight limit. The UFC does. There is no super heavyweight class in that.
so. If we do not add another class or classes, we at least have to say, bro, if you're gonna go on the 110 kilo plus, you this is your limit. You cannot be heavier than 270 or 250 or 260 because it would not be fair, you
Right.
know. But then we have phenoms like Alisan, the guy from Kazakhstan, Alisan. He's a 200-pound guy that goes on the super heavyweights and faces 350-pound guys and beats them easily, you know. But it's a hot but very fair subject, Larry.
Yeah. I think it's just. I don't know. I don't see it discussed enough, and it's a very interesting thing, when you think about it. Like when you sit there and think about how much weight. Because what was Devin when he pulled Levon? I mean, how
Yeah,
much did he weigh?
Devin was
Yeah,
like 280.
280. He's given up. He's given up 160 pounds. He's given up me. Like he would have to take me and swallow me. I'm
Yeah,
160 pounds right now, and he would be Levon's weight. Like, come on, man. Like, and that, whatever. If you want to say that that's kind of lame and that's loser mentality because he can't beat him, whatever. I mean, that's another subject. But to me, another class would be beneficial. I mean, and
yeah, I agree with you.
maybe it's just because there is hardly any 400-pound elite guys to, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's it. And I don't know, man.
In back in the day, we had Cliff Dean, we have Dave Randall, we had Alan Karayev, bigger guys, way bigger guys, heavier guys, we had those guys. nowadays everybody is a fitness model or something, and there are not a lot of big guys like that. So it would be fair to have this conversation with official people, you know?
I think so, man. I think so. I don't know, man. That's kind of where I'm at in the sport. I'm young, but I've been around it since I
How
was
old are
five.
you?
28.
28. Yeah, you're young.
I've been around it since I was 5. My dad arm wrestled. He was high ranked, and so I got to travel around the tournaments. And man, like
Yeah.
I played other sports, but arm wrestling was always that was my sport. So like me being at tournaments, being 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, my dad held tournaments too. He hosted tournaments in Tennessee. So I always like leans more towards the promotion side. Don't get me wrong, I arm wrestled at every tournament, and you know, I consider myself decent. I'm ranked top 20. And but the promotion side always intrigued me. And I always like tried to look at things and be like, man, like how can we do things different? Arm wrestling's been the same for 40 years. Just now in the 2010s is when we started getting super matches, and that's ventured off. We didn't have that in the 80s or the 90s. But like we're starting to see new things, but I feel like we can even go further because I don't know, man. That's how I'm kind of doing it with the round robin. No one's ever did a 12-man round robin with this many elite guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you started it, and it's becoming a thing, and people are paying attention because like your round robins, there's no space for the guy that didn't compete to brag. If you think you're tough, if you think you're strong, you get on the round robin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I like what you're doing. I mean, this is revolutionary. It's sort of the next stage of the super match format. We had tournaments, then it evolved to super matches. Now it's evolving to the next stage, which is the super matches done on the round robins to determine who is the best. I think of it like the next step, on the evolution of the sport. And
Yeah.
I would really love, I don't know, maybe next year or the year after that, that at some point we see a round robin that Levon is on there, that Devon is on there, Dan is there, everybody's there in their weight categories. Everybody gets their round robin on the big stage, and we really see who's got it. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that's my dream, and I know how unrealistic that may sound, because when you get the top guys, money is a big thing right now in the sport. And
Dude, but I'm gonna tell you this, Larry. I don't see it like it's gonna be that hard, but because this is the next step, Larry. What you're doing is the next step, and you know what? We are up to East versus West 10. People are getting bored, Larry.
yeah,
So what's the next step?
I hope so, man. I really do. It's gained more traction. It's gotten so much support, and like I never really dreamed that it would become this. Like I'm just I have a day job. I pay for these tournaments out of I don't. Me and my buddy, my partner that was on with us earlier, we're
Yeah.
a 2-man crew, man. We pay for this stuff out of our bill money. We really scrape and do everything we can for the pullers. I think
Actually, I'm the same.
I always like to say that like we're a pullers promotion because every dollar we got in sponsorship, every single dollar we gave back to the pot. We're taking home nothing. We piled everything in there and said, hey, if you're the best, come prove it. And people's jumped on board, man. We've had so much support. And it started with the 54s and it was insane. But this 98 one's going to be crazy.
Yeah. And I heard someone is doing the 220s, right? Or you're
Yeah,
doing
we're doing the 220s. We're actually going to take it to Arizona State with Tim Talmadge.
Cool.
We're gonna
Yeah.
try and
Cool.
move.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and move the things around, man. We want to take it bigger and better, nationwide. Move them around. Right now, we're just in Tennessee, but everybody's gonna get tired of coming to Tennessee every couple months. So let's move it around, man. Be cool if we could come to Puerto Rico. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we could do a sort of that thing here. Have a round robin with everybody here, and maybe bring some of the guys from out there.
That'd be awesome, man. I
I
would
mean,
love
I
to do
had
that.
I had Devon over. Devon fell in love with the island, and I have big things coming. Like I got another live stream on my channel at 7:30. We're gonna announce some big things
Okay.
that it's gonna be starting in January of next year. Uh, and you should watch it because we have all sorts of possibilities of what we're gonna start. We have someone with a lot of experience expanding the sport and promoting the sport, and we have a winning formula that's been tested in other states. And what I really want, I don't want anything for myself, really. I got my own job. I work for the government. My wife has her job. I do this because I love to do it. I love the sport. I don't really want to get anything out of it. I just want the sport to grow in Puerto Rico, and that the guys here get the exposure everybody else is getting, because I I I, I like to think that I brought attention to Puerto Rico, and I want to showcase the guys, even if they don't like me, because there's always haters.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if they don't like me, I just want to highlight them. The people see that what the Puerto Rican guys can do. And yeah, maybe some of the things we have planned, we can include you, or work something with you to put something good in Puerto Rico next year, as part of what we are gonna do, and make it work, and start. And I know once this thing we're gonna announce starts in January, it's not gonna be just Puerto Rico. I mean, we're gonna have guys from all Latin America involved, and hope, and it's gonna be an explosion, and an sports explosion. And I like to think, I feel good and happy because I feel like I'm part of it, and or maybe I'm the person, or the guy that started all this revolution, if we're gonna
Yeah.
call it like that.
That's how I feel, man. Like it's still surreal to me that I'm like, I look at the list of names that have, jumped on board with what we're doing, and I'm just like, dude, these are the top dogs. I never dreamed I would be able to get these guys on board. So it's like when you speak of like, hopefully in the next couple of years we can have a situation where we have like a Levon and Devin, and dude, that blows my mind. Like you even saying that,
It's
and like,
it's it's just a matter of time, Larry.
yeah, and like my buddy, when we first sat down and we talked about, making this stuff, you know, I'll be the first to say he was like, man, I want to do something on the world level. And if I'm being honest, I was like, man, I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know. And then even a national level, I was like, we'll see how it goes. I never expected it to blow up. And man, I'm on board, man. I'll support you anyway, for sure.
Yeah, and me too. Me too. Me too. As you know, in December I'll have a match in Arizona in the Greg
Okay.
Brown event.
Okay.
I have a super match over there too, and then the plan after that is to start what we're gonna start, and then go to the North American Championships Mexico, which like we don't have. Let's say like this: everybody in North America, and when I mean North America, is Central America up,
Mhm.
should be part and support the NAF, the North America Arm Wrestling Federation, and this North American Championship, because it makes our world smaller, and gets
Yes.
us together. And I'll tell you this: you got on your round robin on the 176s, you got Juan Carlos Gaya.
Yep.
He's a Mexican, and he's
Yes.
a great friend of mine, and he is good.
Oh,
He's
I already know.
really good.
I've heard, and like I'm with you in that. Like I thought it was very important to get somebody when I called it the North American Invitational, right? That's how my 54, 198, 76. I felt it was very important to get representation from other places than just the States.
Yeah. And that guy that's right there in the corner, right there, Mr. Luis Alarcón, he is a strong, strong guy. And you know, I see the round robin thing, and he has a good draw, and he has all the tools to, you know, getting deep. And there may be surprises because nobody's expecting him.
You're right on that. He's definitely the sleeper because no one knows anything about him. And I watched you and him on Bill's podcast,
Yeah,
Arm
yeah.
Wrestling. I
Arm
was
fighter.
watching you guys live, yes, and it was a lot of interesting things that he said. He's a very humble guy, you know, but he's very confident. And I was like,
Yeah, he's strong. He's really, really strong. Really strong. He's good.
I,
And
I'm
it's not that he's just strong. He's strong and he knows how to arm wrestle. He has the tools, you know.
yes,
Some of these top guys are really good and really strong, but they have one lane.
yeah,
There are very little like Robbie is great, but Robbie has one lane. Uh Greg Tullier, same thing, only has one lane. The most versatile guy of the whole bunch is Artem, you know. But Luis has a lot of tools. You gotta see him pull. You know, he has a lot of tools. He can
yeah.
adapt in the middle of the match. He can go in, it doesn't work, he go out. You know, he's good. He's good.
I'm excited to see him. He's definitely the most intriguing for me. Like, I've watched every single one of these guys arm wrestle, except for, you know, and I take that back because I did watch his video where he went to the Corey's event where he pulled
Yeah.
DeWoody, and dude, he dominated. So other than that, I know all these other guys. You know, I've watched them pull for years, but he's going to be the surprise. That's going to be interesting
Yeah,
to
he's
see.
gonna be a surprise. Larry,
Tim,
I hate to cut the conversation short because we was getting good, but I got another live in 8 minutes. So if we can get just cut it here, and maybe
yeah,
next
man.
week when after I come back, we can hop on again.
Of course, man. And dude, I apologize for my technical
Don't
difficulties.
worry about it.
We'll
Don't
get
worry
it.
about it.
We'll
Thank you for
going.
having me.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you for helping me out, and we'll stay in touch. Good luck in your
Yeah,
super
thank
match,
you.
man.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Yes, sir.